initiate a newly found state of relaxation.
We are The Source, WOCA, news, talk, sports, and more.
All right, 9 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in, Robin. Remember, I'm sure you remember, I'm using a story of yours to introduce our next guest. You ate something, and it was not good. Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
I do. Never again.
Do you know what? I have a story. When I was camping with my son, we were in Texas, and I went to this little store, and I found these hot dogs. And I thought, oh, perfect for camping, you know. It was 49 cents. 49 cents. That's a pretty good price for a package of hot dogs, right? And then I happened to think, well, let me look at the expiration date. And it was like last week. It was like they expired a week earlier. It's like, holy mackerel, I'm not buying 49 cents. What do you use this for, bait?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't feed this to anybody. Maybe to catch fish with. It was like, forget this. Michael Taylor is on the phone. He's the U.S. Food and Drug Administration Deputy Commissioner for Foods and Veterinary Medicine. Well, that's interesting. He's going to talk to us about some proposals to improve food safety and help prevent foodborne illnesses. And this is in response to some public commentary. And if I was going to give him one, I would say, you got to check out this store in Texas. They are selling bad hot dogs.
Yeah.
Michael Taylor. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
Where are you? Where are you calling from? Tell me now, Texas.
I'm calling from Silver Spring, Maryland, at the FDA headquarters just outside Washington.
Ah, okay. And where does the veterinary part of what you do come in?
Well, I oversee the food system-oriented part of FDA. So, you know, the veterinary drugs that are used in animal production are under my jurisdiction, animal feed, but also pet food and drugs that are used to treat pets. So it's one of our centers here, the Center for Veterinary Medicine, and also we have a Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition that I oversee.
Oh, okay. But today we're talking about human food, right?
Yes, the focus is human foods, and it's a process that we started back in January of 2011 when President Obama signed into law a new Food Safety Modernization Act, which is aimed at preventing some of the foodborne illness outbreaks and contamination incidents that we've had over the last decade. You know, we have a very safe food supply in our country, but we've learned that we can make it safer, and so we're going through a process of really modernizing the system to focus on preventing problems, you know, rather than just reacting to them after the fact.
And what do the rules? How do they enforce it? Do they have more people showing up at the restaurants or at the grocery stores to check the inventory?
Well, the main thing is to define the standards that have to be followed, whether you're growing produce on a farm, or processing food at a food manufacturing facility, or transporting food, or importing food. Excuse me. What are the right practices that should be followed to prevent food safety problems, to prevent contamination with harmful bacteria? And so what we're in the process of doing is developing the regulations that will set those standards for preventing problems. What we did last week was issue some revised proposals that reflect what we've learned through a process of very extensive dialogue with farmers, including in Florida, but all over the country, you know, talking to people who are in the business of making food and learning how we can make our rules be as effective as possible, but also, you know, be practical, you know, be able to work in all those very, very diverse settings where food is produced and processed and sold to consumers. So, you know, it's part of a process. You know, everybody agrees on the goal of food safety, and we want to work together with the community to get the right standards, to do it in an effective way as well as a practical way.
I like to buy the meat that I can see through the plastic wrap to look at the color, but there are some stores in our area that will sell you meat all wrapped up in non-see-through plastic. Why should they be allowed to do that? Well,
I'm one little distinction, and this is going to sound very bureaucratic to you, but the Food and Drug Administration actually doesn't regulate the safety of meat or the packaging of meat. That's regulated by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Food Safety and Inspection Service.
Oh, really?
So, but again, I think you know, these are issues that again, what's really safe, what makes that food safe is how it's processed, how it's and whether it's been processed properly. And then, of course, packaging can protect the safety of food as well. So I think you're raising an interesting issue I think it's worth exploring with our colleagues at the Department of Agriculture.
So can we approach the GMO topic? I've heard people. I mean, some people say that's bad for you. Some people say it's good for you. Is there an official position that you agree with?
Yeah, actually, I don't. That's one little piece of the food world that I personally don't work on here at FDA. There's a lot of work that has been done, that is being done to oversee the safety of genetically modified foods, but I don't work in that particular area.
Okay. Has the law helped us? Can you give us some examples of how the law that was signed in January of 2011, how has it affected us in a positive way?
Well, it's really heightened attention to food safety. You know, we are fortunate because we have a grower community, for example, in Florida and elsewhere that are doing a lot of good work now to strengthen food safety, even before this law goes fully into effect. The tomato industry in Florida, for example, as working with the state government, has put in place measures even before this law came into effect. We're strengthening our oversight of imported food, and again, working with foreign governments to heighten awareness of the importance of prevention happening at the point of production overseas, so that we're not just waiting until food comes to our border, comes to our port of entry to check its safety. We're working, for example, with the Mexican government to strengthen the oversight of produce, a very large volume of produce coming from Mexico to the United States. So, you know, food safety and progress on food safety is a continuous thing. And even as we're developing these new regulations, there's a lot of work going on to strengthen the safety of the food supply.
And do those regulations also include the new ways that fertilizer is being manufactured so it's less harmful to humans?
Well, one of our issues is how do we manage the safety of raw manure that's sometimes used to grow produce crops or compost. And so we are, for example, codifying standards for proper composting of raw manure to make it safe for application. We're also in the process of really understanding how raw manure can be used safely in organic agriculture, where it's important to organic growing practices. So that's definitely part of the ongoing process. And again, working with the community, working with organic growers, working with scientists in state departments of agriculture. Your state, the Ag Commissioner, Adam Putnam, is a leader in food safety and a partner of ours. So, again, it's working with the community to solve these sort of practical problems.
By the way, Adam Putnam's office is one of the most responsive offices in our state government. When I contact him or them, actually, they get right back to me. So I love that.
Yeah, no, they're terrific.
What can we do, and can the FDA website, fda.gov, or any other resource you can tell us about, how does it help us? Because we're the end user. I mean, we're the ones who go to the store and buy things. So does it give us any tips on what to look for or how to store food or anything like that?
Yes, you can certainly get consumer safe handling information on the FDA website, as you said, fda.gov. There's also a cross-cutting foodsafety.gov website that the government runs that has lots of consumer handling information. And the way we see this, you know, folks who are commercially producing food and selling it to consumers should do everything they possibly can to prevent problems, prevent contamination. But then consumers do have a role to play in terms of how they handle food, storing it properly, avoiding mixing your meat and your fresh your lettuce on the same cutting board. Very practical things consumers can do to protect themselves.
Michael, thank you for being on the air. Go to the website fda.gov for more information. Thank you, Michael. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Karen McHugh. The search is on for 3 Afghan Army officers who are missing in Massachusetts.
The Director of Public Affairs for Joint Base Cape Cod says that the visiting soldiers are not required to stay on base and are free to go out to shop and explore the Cape. Now, the 3 soldiers, we're told, were last seen at Cape Cod Mall.
Jessica Reyes with Fox TV's WFXT Cape Cod. Authorities say the 3 pose no security risk. Over 100,000 civilians are fleeing Syria ahead of ISIS. Officials fear more on the way.
The refugees, mostly Kurds, have been flooding into Turkey since Thursday in staggering numbers. The country's deputy prime minister says 130,000 people have crossed over